Okay, so what I'm going to show you in the second lesson of Photoshop is just how to make some basic image adjustments, particularly focusing on how to change a color image into a black and white image. So you can see I've got this image here. I'll zoom in a touch of this restaurant sign. Now, the most basic way of changing an image from color to black and white is simply to go to Image, Adjustments. You'll find that most of the adjustments we're using for the first few lessons are all in the same place here. So Image, Adjustments, and we go to the Hue Saturation tool. And all I'm going to focus on here is if the second icon down is called Saturation. And simply all we're going to do is take saturation out of the image. So we just go to -100. Click OK. And there we have it. Simple but easy way to do a color conversion to black and white. Okay. Now that method works fine in this instance, and the reason being is this image, if I just step back, if I show you the original image, you can see that's got quite a lot of contrast in the image to start off with. If we look back at the adjustment to black and white, it converts well to black and white because this text is very contrasty and it stands out well. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how this method doesn't work well for all images. So if I'm going to press the F key, press that a couple of times, gets us back to this main overview here. I'll just close this image. I'm going to work on a different image this time. Now this image here will not work well in using that method of converting from color to black and white, and the reason being is because this doesn't actually have a lot of contrast in this image. It may look like it does, but the contrast is coming from the color, not from black to white. So you'll see if I go to Image, Adjustments, and as soon as I take the color out of this image, Hue Saturation, as soon as I take the color out of that image and click OK, I'm going to press F to just show you this more clearly in full screen. Now you can see that hasn't converted very well to black and white. All this bright red set against the yellow of the text here that says casino, that appeared to be very contrasty before, and it stood out and it was really eye-catching. But as soon as we take the saturation out with the red and yellow, you can barely tell the difference. So how do we improve an image like this? Well, we need to make the conversion in a slightly different way. And if I just press Ctrl and Z, I can go back to the original state. So we're just going to change this image to black and white, but using a different method in this instance. So again, Image, Adjustments, like most of the other tools are, but instead of going to Hue Saturation, we're going to go to black and white this time. So I click on black and white, and now you can see that it's brought up this toolbox here. Now what this shows you is you can change the intensity of each color once it's converted to black and white. Now the easiest way to explain this is simply by showing you. So what I do here is, if we start with the red, if I darken the red by clicking on this and taking the percentage down, you can see that all this area here that we know as red from before has gone darker. Now this text saying casino stands out a lot better. Okay, now I'm just going to increase this slightly because I've exaggerated that just to show you what can be done. Okay, that's a bit better. Now we want this area here to stand out a bit better, casino, because it still doesn't stand out as well as it did in the color image. So I'm just going to take the yellow, because I know that this text was yellow from before, and just brighten that up. And now you can see that this casino, all this text, stands out a lot better than it did before. Now I can try adjusting the greens and blues and magentas, but it's not going to have much effect with this image. And the reason I know that is because I know from the original image that this was predominantly all red and yellow. And if I untick this preview, I can check that. See, we can see how it was before. You can see that the image is pretty much all red and yellow. And if I tick the preview back again, it shows the adjustment I've made. Now, one easy method to show you, and a useful method, is if you're looking, I was showing you there how to darken the reds and brighten the yellows, whereas this image is an easy one to do that with. But what if the colours are a little bit more subtle and it's harder to distinguish what colour they are? Well, what we can do is, you can see that as soon as I drag the mouse pointer off to the image, it changes from this little arrow here, it changes to what's called the colour dropper tool. So when I drag that off to the image, what that's saying is it's now allowing us to sample a colour. So say for instance this colour here, I know this is red, so if I click with the left mouse button and hold it, you can see that the percentage of red up here has been highlighted. So I'll try that again. This time I'll do it with the yellow, just so you can see the change. I'll click on here because I know this is yellow. See, that's changed to yellow. Now what I can do is, with that held down, we can darken by dragging to the left, or brighten by dragging to the right. Okay, so I've brightened the yellow there. If I want to darken down the red, I click on an area that I know is red, click it, see that a red's been highlighted there where it says 12%, and I drag this to the left to darken it. Okay, just going to lighten that a touch. When I'm happy with that, I just click OK. And there we go. We've got an image that's been changed to black and white, but we've been able to make a much better conversion because we've had control over each of the individual colour channels. Now if I just click Control and Z, you can go to the original image. If I press Control and Z again, you can go back to our conversion now. We can see that we've made a much better conversion from colour to black and white.